Okay, so we all know that customers are vital, right? And so it's why we're in business. No customers, no business. And no matter the industry, customers also come with their own set of ideals and values that, of course, we try to find common connections with. Well, the same is true in the for-profit world as it is in the nonprofit world. And I think sometimes there's a parallel there that we don't often recognize as consumers or even potential givers. What is that common thread? So that's what we're going to talk about today. It is important to please your customers and connect with them while still being true to yourself, to your company, to your brand. And where those two things mesh, you have this sort of bliss, right? So today's speaker, Sarah Wischhof, is here to tell us how United Way of Lincoln and Lancaster County is implementing changes to their structure and their marketing that will allow United Way to remain true to their brand while more effectively accomplishing aligning organizational goals and objectives with the needs of our community and meeting the requests of their customers, or in this case, potential givers. The principles that Sarah's about to share are applicable for strengthening the brand of any organization. That's where we say you can apply principles from the nonprofit world to the for-profit and vice versa. Sarah has over 10 years of experience in the marketing field, bachelor's degree in journalism and mass communications from UNL, and she began her career in the publishing industry, yes, okay, went on to Swanson Russell, doing well, and spent a few years in the financial industry doing marketing, which is very lucrative. Most recently as marketing coordinator for Pinnacle Bank. Most importantly, though, Sarah is the Director of Marketing and Special Events for United Way of Lincoln and Lancaster County. She has developed a passion for developing marketing strategies to communicate and highlight all the positive work that United Way and its constituents are doing, and you have elevated those levels, I think, tremendously. So you have been a great asset to the team, and I actually mean that.
That's on tape.
Sarah today is Nola Derby Bennett. She is an equally awesome part of our community. Nola is the Executive Director of the Hub. She has nearly 20 years of experience. That's what it says on the website. So were you 12? What
Are you kind?
did you do? Seriously. But in Nola, she has all this experience in helping our youth with support and services. Nola, the thing that I find awesome about her is she really rolls up her sleeves and gets involved and gets engaged. And I appreciate that very much, that you do that. So many young people here in Lincoln are getting education, seeking employment, and living more fulfilling lives because of the work that you and your staff do, and kudos to you. So, without further ado, please join me in a warm welcome for Sarah and then Nola.
Thank you. That's seriously the nicest thing he's ever said about me, so thank you. Well, as Kurt said, he kind of stole some of my talking points, so we'll just go from there. As he said, I am Sarah Wischhof. I'm the Director of Marketing with United Way. I've been there for 2 years now, and it's been a lot of fun, just kind of, becoming more engaged with the brand and kind of bringing it, to people like you. And I recognize a lot of you in this room. I know some of you are very familiar with the United Way brand, and some of you, this may be the first that you're hearing about it. But what Kurt said, I believe, is super true. It's a brand is more than just a logo or a perception. It's how it makes you feel, and so it's like when you're interacting with a brand, when you're seeing a brand, it's how does that make you feel? What does it accomplish for you? What does it give you? So that's kind of some of what we're going to talk about today. So, it's funny when Kurt asked me to do this, I started thinking about obviously what is the United Way brand, So I've talked to a few of you in this room. Some of you went through the journalism college at UNL. So if you took typography, you might notice that my font is all in Arial. That's a brand standard. The blue triangles in the corner are the same Pantone as the blue in the logo. That's a brand standard. But what does that mean? I mean, brand standards are created so that you can maintain consistency to your brand. but it's just an extension of the brand, right? It doesn't define the brand, but you need those so that people cannot misuse your brand as well, right? So it's just really important to keep that in mind and know that a lot of work goes into those brand standards, and that's why they're used. But I'm going to go back to say that it's also more of a feeling. So this is a picture of me, obviously. So when you look at a picture of somebody, that's their personal brand. That is a representation of who they are at face value. To me, that's the same as what a logo does for a company, for any company. You can look at this and you can see that, like, okay, it's a professional headshot, but it's not too formal. So maybe I'm not too formal. I'm smiling, but who doesn't smile in their professional headshot, right? But what does it tell you about me? Does it tell you anything about me? I like blue. Anything else? Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So those are things that you're seeing about me at first glance. Those are things that would be your initial perception of me, right? But in order to really understand my personal brand, you would have to get to know me, right? This doesn't say to you that I love to read. This doesn't say to you that I'm the mother of 2. This doesn't say to you that I've been married for 11 years. So it's like you would have to interact with me in order to understand what I believe in, what my likes are, and would I be a good friend to you? You guys might think that I'm approachable, but what if I'm not? I am, but a picture, it can be deceiving. And so I take that concept and I apply it to a professional brand as well. Okay, so we talked a lot about shoes, and we talked a lot about brands that you guys identify with. So when you look at this logo, what brand is this representing? Okay, so when you see this logo, what do you think about?
Running.
Okay. What? I'm sorry?
Basketball.
Okay. You think about just do it? Yep. Does it evoke an emotion in you? So what emotion does it evoke in you?
Anticipation.
Okay. Anticipation. What else?
Competition and strength.
Competition. Okay. Confidence. Okay. Those Nike yoga pants look really good sitting in front of the TV. But it's just, this is a company that has built a very strong brand identity. When you see this, you know that this is just do it. You know that this is associated with living an active lifestyle, right? I mean, you can wear your Nike pants to go get a donut, but mostly you're gonna live an active lifestyle, right? So it's just it evokes something in you. You know what it means. You know what it means to go buy a new pair of Nike running shoes or something like that. Okay, what about this one? How does this one make you feel?
Proud.
Okay. What else? Everyone knows what this logo is, right? Yep. And everyone knows what this logo is, not just in Nebraska or in the United States, but around the world, right? So if you see this, what do you think about?
Global connection.
Global connection, okay.
Polluted water.
Polluted water. You think of what? Unity? Patriotism? Right. I mean, it makes you think about, for me, it makes me think about all of the hours, the countless hours that these athletes have devoted their life to training to go out and represent their countries, right? And I mean, there's nothing more powerful than watching the Olympics and seeing that U.S. flag being raised and hearing the national anthem, right? I mean, it's a strong brand. They have created a very, very strong brand that makes you feel very, very good. Okay, so what about this one?
Community.
Community. Does everyone know what this brand is? Okay. What else? Responsibility. Okay. Helping.
Running a pledge drive.
With a smile on your face, right? Okay, so for some people, it says something different. Some of you are very associated with this. You've run a pledge drive. You feel responsible, so that's why you're associated with this. It makes you feel like community. You know, it's a united thing. You know, United Way is uniting the community. But what I want to say about this is that this evokes the same type of emotions in you as those other brands do, right? Just because it's not a for-profit, just because it's maybe not as mainstream, if you see this, you know what it means, right? Okay, so working for United Way for me is the same as when I worked in a for-profit. We still have a product that we're trying to promote. We still have a cause that we're supporting, just like any product does, right? So our goal with this brand is still to convince you of its value, just like any other product. We have to convince you that when you are looking at this logo, that it makes you feel those emotions, like you want to be involved, you want to participate, you want to give, just like anything else. And I have to say a funny story. So since Kurt kind of brought this up, when I was at Pinnacle Bank and I was making the change to United Way, I had some people ask me, why in the world are you leaving the for-profit world, you know, and going to nonprofit? And that was not something that I was really prepared for, you know, that I had ever really thought about. And to me, it was almost like a calling. Like I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to help the community. I wanted to get that brand out there and make people know that this is something that's important within the community. But, you know, through that conversation, it kind of came up that, you know, working for a nonprofit has the same marketing principles as working for a for-profit. You know, like I said, it's that brand, it's that product, it's that value. So we're trying to do the same thing as all of these companies and all of these brands are doing. We're trying to convince you that by giving through United Way, by participating in United Way, by volunteering through United Way, that our service to you in supporting your community is the best. It's the best value to you. You know, it's a one-stop shop. That's what we're trying to convince our consumers of, right? So lucky for us, the United Way brand is pretty recognizable, right? There's some smaller nonprofits that aren't nearly as recognizable. We have a national brand, 1,200 local United Ways across the United States. And so we are fortunate that we can pull from their experience. We can call another United Way and say, hey, what do you think about this? How's this working out for you? How's this going? So we can pull from that nationally recognized brand. We have a long-standing history, which is an advantage on one hand, but have you ever heard the term used when you're talking about United Way, traditional? Have you guys ever associated that word with United Way? It's a word we hear a lot. So because it is a long-standing tradition to be involved in United Way and give to your community through that, it's something that when you're on the marketing side of things, is being traditional a good thing or is it a negative thing? And you have to think those things through. Maybe to somebody who's been giving for 15 years and knows the process, it's good, it's efficient, it's great, they love that it's traditional. But what about when you look at a millennial? Do you think that a millennial likes the word traditional? Do you think they identify with that word? Okay, so how do we make that brand applicable to a millennial? How do we get them to understand the value of giving through something that could be perceived as traditional? So those are some challenges. Okay, as with any brand, what's the best way for somebody to understand what it's about? Do they just naturally know what your brand is? The first time they see a logo, do they know what it is? Use it. Education, perhaps. You know, how do most people get educated about a brand? They use it. What else?
Hear about it from friends or
Yep.
coworkers or something.
Research. Do you see a lot of commercials on TV? Do you learn about new products from seeing those commercials? They can evoke emotion in you. I think it was a Farmer's ad a couple years ago during the Super Bowl that everyone was talking about that, you know, elicited a lot of emotion from people. So a brand that you maybe knew nothing about all of a sudden made you feel a certain way and you wanted to know more about that brand, right? Well, in the nonprofit world, do you think we have a large budget for advertising? So we have to come up with unique ways to educate our customers and potential customers about what our brand is. So I want to take you guys through a little exercise, something that, can I have you help me hand this out? Something that we came up with to help accomplish just that. So hopefully you have a pen. Some of you have done this. If you have, don't tell your neighbor, don't ruin the surprise. What you have in front of you are 20 real life situations about what's going on in the Lincoln community. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute. I just want you to read through them, and then I want you to pick just one. I want you to pick just one person or family that you identify the most with. Okay, and you have to circle one. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So when you're reading through these, how does it make you feel? Sad? What else? Is it hard to choose? Is it hard to make a decision? Or is it easy? Is there something that maybe you identify with on here? Like what did some of you choose?
Well, I picked number 7 because I've been a volunteer in the past for the Alliance Task Force on Domestic Violence.
So that's personal to you. Like you have a personal connection to that. Okay? Did you guys pick something over here?
I think 16.
Okay. And what is 16?
16 is the 4th grade girl who's behind in math and believes girls.
Okay, and so why did you pick that one?
Because I just think that women need to be empowered. You know, they can do anything.
Okay. So again, it's a personal choice of yours, right? Okay. The point of this activity is that each one of these individuals, or in many cases, their family is also in need of assistance. So, for example, the child in number 14 is the child of the working single mother in 13 and 5. The child in number 3 is the daughter of the mother in number 7. The family in number 8 has the 4th grade girl in number 16 and the 7th grader in number 20. So what this demonstrates is that families in need in our community have a variety of needs. They don't just have one need to help them. A typical family has 4 to 5 needs that they need in order to restabilize their life. If they're leaving a domestic violence situation, is taking them to the Friendship Home for Shelter enough? No. What else are they going to need?
How about long-term support?
Long-term support, food, maybe some job skills. A lot of women leaving a domestic violence situation don't have the job skills that they need because they've been suppressed for so long, right? They probably need them and their children probably need some mental health assistance, right? So the point of this activity is to show you that with a donation to the United Way Community Health Charities campaign, you're helping all of these people. Your donation goes to agencies that support all of these needs, and you're helping all of these people to find the stability that they need within their lives. It's hard to make those decisions, and that is the service that we offer our customers. We don't make you choose. We'll help you with that. You give a donation, we'll make sure that your money gets to these people who are really in need, right? So how do we make what you guys just felt and you guys just experienced, how do we make everybody feel that way? I can't sit down with the whole city of Lincoln and take them through this activity. I would love to, because I think it's the clearest way for people to understand what our brand truly, truly means, right? Have you guys ever felt the way that you felt about the United Way brand as when you went through that activity? Did it kind of help to show you what it's about and what it does? So yeah, it's a pretty powerful thing, and that's the challenge. So what do we have to rely on? So the feeling that you get from that activity is the feeling that we have to rely on what our community partners are doing. They're out there in the community every day doing the work. So that's one way that you can get that feeling when you hear about the good work that they're doing. But is it the same? So go back to Nike, when we were talking about Nike. If those shoes aren't comfortable, you're going to be upset with the brand, right? So we have to be very clear with the impact that your dollars are making in order for people to feel good about the brand. Just like Nike has to make good shoes, right? All right. So, who are our customers? We've talked a lot about the brand and what the brand does, but who are our customers and who are we serving? So, NOLA is here representing the Hub, which is one of 42 partner agencies with United Way. Our agencies it's kind of a different way of thinking about a customer, right? Because they're actually the ones that are applying for funds through us. They apply, and we, every 2 to 3 years, depending on the cycle, and we give them money to fund their programs. But we wouldn't be able to raise the money and talk about the impact that it's making within the community without them, right? And they rely on us to provide them with a valuable service. Nola, how many employees do you have? 5. So do you have the time or the staff to go out and fundraise for your agency?
No.
Okay. So we are providing them with a valuable service to make sure that their programs can do what they need to do and do the work within the community. This one's a little more obvious. Our customers are our donors. We want to make sure that what we say we're doing with our donor dollars, we're actually doing, right? We want to say that we're helping those victims of domestic violence to not only get the shelter that they need, but the food, the mental health assistance, the before and the after school care for their children. We want to make sure that people are aware that that's what's happening. When they give us a donation, they can rest assured that their money is going to the place that it needs to go to. It's a little interesting, and this is again where the whole for-profit, non-profit thing comes in. So when you're thinking, okay, Kurt, I'm going to pick on you. So when you've got a product that you're wanting to get out into the marketplace, and you're strategizing about it, how do you go about thinking about who your potential customers would be for that product?
Start with demographics,
Okay.
prior behavior, if we have access to that information,
Okay.
and use those as predictors as how likely or not they are to act on a certain product.
Right. So when we're thinking about the product that we have to put out in the marketplace, ours is a little different. Our potential customers are anyone that lives in Lancaster County, right? So it may look a little different, like I said earlier, to a long-standing donor than it may look to a millennial. So we may need to tweak things a little bit, but truly we are targeting everyone that lives in Lancaster County, except for kids, because that would just be mean to take their allowance, right? So, we go into workplaces, we run these campaigns, but we're targeting people that live within Lancaster County. So segmenting our target audience is a little different. It's a little harder. So how do our two customer bases work together? We have donors that give the money so that we can support the agencies who are out there doing the work for us. Without both of them, does this puzzle fit together? No, we can't do it. Our role is to go out there and solicit the donations and ensure the donors that your money is being well used. They're going through financial reviews. We know that they're stable. We know that they're doing what they say that they're doing with the money that we're giving to them. That's what we do. Then the agencies are out there on the front lines actually doing the work within the community to help your neighbors, your friends, your family. It would be hard for all of us to sit in this room and not know at least one person that has been touched by one of those 42 agencies. Okay, so here's where the customer demands come in. So how do you keep your customers happy? Since 2008, United Way has been funding 2 focus areas, children and those in crisis. Okay, so children covered everything from like educational supports, before and after school programming, youth mental health, things like that. Crisis covered the food, the shelter, the victim safety, the sexual assault and abuse, things like that. So we've had customers over the past couple years who are with from some of our corporate partners who run not only local United Way campaigns, but run United Way campaigns in their national headquarters as well. So kind of across the nation. In 2008, at the same time we were switching to crisis and children, United Way Worldwide was making the switch to fund education, income, and health. They were focusing on those 3 areas. It's not a huge shift from what we were doing, but we decided to stay the course and keep the children and the crisis focus because we were already so far down that path. So some of our corporate partners came to us and said, hey, we think you should fund education, income, and health. It's the same as somebody coming to Kurt and saying, I think you should give me a savings account that has 50% interest on it, right? Right? Yeah. It's a request, right? Some of them are good requests and some of them are not. But this request was something that we were like, we'll keep that in mind. We'll keep that consideration. So somebody like Google, oh, I didn't know that it made different colors. That's cool. I mean, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, go with it.
I had no idea. So how many requests do you think Google gets in a day to improve their products or change their products or get rid of something, or we don't like it or we love it? Can they do something with every single comment or request that they get? No. Just like you guys can't with your company or your brand either, right? Kurt's not going to open up a savings account that gives 50% interest. It'd be awesome, but it just won't work, right? Okay. So anytime you get a customer request or suggestion or input, you have to make sure that it still maintains the identity of your brand, right? Does it make sense? What does that look like? What would the process be for making that shift? How much work would go into that? Things like that. So you really have to think it through and make sure. I can guarantee you Google is making sure that it still fits into their brand, any change that they're making. So we took the suggestion into account. We talked about it. And then how many of you are familiar with Lincoln Vital Signs? Okay, some of you. Lincoln Vital Signs was a report that was put out for the first time in 2014 and again in 2015 that kind of showed the state of where Lincoln was at. It showed us how many children we have currently living in poverty, 12,100. It showed that poverty in Lincoln is now at it has risen 58% since 2008. It showed us that our 3rd grade reading proficiency is at 82%, and that students who do not read proficiently by 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. So it was a lot of really good data that we had not seen in that format before. So when we started down this path, we started by looking at the data. We also enlisted the help of the Public Policy Center at the University of Nebraska because they are the experts on what data is available Is it reliable? Can we get access to it every year? Some of these reports that they do are only done once every 10 years. Now, when you're trying to show a donor that we're making a difference in the community, if you can only update that every 10 years, do you think that that customer is going to be happy about that? No. So we have to rely on data that is readily available to us, right? So after a lot of meetings and a lot of research and a lot of education on our part, we did take the recommendation, and we are making the switch to funding education, income, and health. It is not a large jump for us. Education, obviously, we were already funding programs that fit into this. Income still covers the crisis, things like that, but it may include more like financial education, financial literacy type programming as well. Because if you're in poverty, how do you get out of poverty? If you don't know how to manage your money, are you ever going to stay out of poverty? Probably not, right? And then health. These were, as United Way Worldwide said, the 3 pillars to a healthy, prosperous life. And so we have now adopted these pillars. But like I said, we had to make sure that this fit within our brand. We had to make sure that this would make sense to our customers, and we also had to make sure that this would make sense with our partner agencies. So with that, I'm going to let Nola come up and kind of talk about her input into this process and what it means for that side of the coin. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Nola Derby-Bennett, Executive Director of the Hub, Central Access Point for Young Adults. We are an organization that serves youth and young adults ages 16 to 24 in the areas of, and this is going to sound really familiar to you, education, income, housing, mental health, and community involvement. And so we developed those 5 strategies a long time ago because we realized that those were the 5 pieces that we felt like were really important for young people transitioning to adulthood to have stability in as they made that transition into adulthood. So if you think about yourself at that period of your life, 16 to 24, having stability in those 5 areas was really key in you transitioning successfully into adulthood. And when we're serving young people who have challenges in any of those areas, and we serve young people who are high school dropouts, who are pregnant or parenting at a really young age, who are involved in the juvenile justice system, who are homeless, or who are couch hoppers, which is what we see mostly in Lincoln with young people who are homeless. When they are aging out of the foster care system, the stability in those 5 areas is really, really rocky. And so when the United Way was talking about the potential of making that shift from youth and crisis to education, income, and health, it made a lot of sense to me because that's what we do every day at the Hub. And it made a lot of sense to me in terms of those 42 United Way agencies that are funded, because it's really what we all do. It's just a different framework. And so I was really happy to be a part of that process. As the director of the Hub, I get to serve on the board of directors for the United Way as the representative for the United Way agencies. And in the process of making that shift, we had a lot of discussions, a lot of meetings about what that would mean, and the alignment up underneath of the United Way International framework, I guess, made a lot of sense to me just in terms of that like brand consistency, so that if we have a little bit more mobile community maybe than we did 20 years ago, where people are sort of moving from community to community. So if somebody's coming to Lincoln from Minneapolis and they've been connected with, and I don't know if Minneapolis has that, education, income, and health, I'm just throwing that out there, but it's familiar to them, right? So they know that if they were United Way supporters in Minneapolis or wherever, they come here and they know that the same priorities are here in Lincoln as they are in wherever it was that they came from. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And then from an agency standpoint, if you look at those agencies, I don't think you would find a single one of them that doesn't have a priority in one of those areas. So it doesn't really change who the agencies are that are being supported. It doesn't really change who the customers are in terms of our clients that we serve every day. It just aligns the brand a little bit more and makes it a little bit more recognizable. And I was thinking a little bit about brand, and as Sarah was talking about the different customer bases, all of the nonprofits in Lincoln have the same kind of dichotomy in our customer bases. So for us, our customer is our client, right? But it's also our funder, and it's also our referral sources, and it's also our community, and it's also our boards, and it's also our staff. And so, aligning our brands and really staying true to all of those things, in the nonprofit world, we call it mission creep. So, in everything that we do, we want to make sure that we're staying true to the mission. And I think that that's a really good illustration of the reflection of the care and duty that the United Way took in terms of addressing the education and human health alignment, is that it lines everything up nicely, and it helps to share that word nationally for people. So, getting to serve on the board has been a really cool opportunity to see kind of the other side of the work that the United Way does, and it's really like Kurt said, I've sort of been able to roll up my sleeves a little bit. I'm knocking tables over here because it's so cool to see the passion that the United Way staff all have for the work that they do, and they all play different roles, right? So Michelle and Starlet are more on the working with the donors, and Sarah gets to talk more to the communication side of things, and then there's other staff who work more directly with the agencies and kind of the work that we do. So, but it's really cool because they all really work well together, and they all have the same goals in mind. So I think that's been. You got me full. No, it's really true that they all do share that passion, and what Sarah said about having gone from the for-profit world, and I've never really worked in the for-profit world. I've always sort of lived in this world, and when I graduated from college and I started this work, my mom said, "Oh, are you sure? Are you sure that's what you want to do, nonprofit work?" And I was like, "Yes, because I'm following my heart." And all of my brothers and sisters who work in the for-profit world are like, "Oh, aren't you sweet? How are you ever going to make a living?" And the reality is, it's challenging, but I think if you really establish a solid brand and you address the needs of those customers in all of those ways, you can live and do this work for a long, long time. So in every bit of the work that I do, my consideration is always, how is this good for the young people that we serve? And so my staff and my board have now understood that that's the pillar of my decision making, is this good for the young people that we serve? And if it is, we'll do it, and we'll find a way to make it happen. And if it isn't, then I don't even want to talk about it anymore until we can find a way to demonstrate that it is good for the young people that we serve. And I think that comes through to our customers with our funders. They recognize that we are going to do what it takes to make it good for the young people that we serve. With our referral sources, they know that if they send a young person to us, we're going to do what it takes for that young person to be successful, and for the youth. I'm often asked, how do you measure success? Which is sometimes hard when it's a lot of layers to bring a young person to be successful in their lives. And for me, the biggest measure of our success is when young people bring their friends through our doors, because they're vouching for us, right? They're telling their friends, they helped me and they'll help you too. So they bring their friends through our doors and sort of turn them over to us and say, "This is my friend and he needs this GED, can you help him?" And from that moment, we've prided ourselves in being no barrier service, no red tape. If you walk through our doors, we're not going to ask you how much money your family earns. We're not going to ask you, really our only criteria is, are you between the ages of 16 and 24? And if you are, we will serve you. And so I think that we've really established that as our brand, And every other nonprofit organization in the community has worked really hard to drill down on that identity of this is what we offer to the community, and this is how we can serve you. And when the referral sources make that call, they know exactly what they're getting. When the funders are, making that determination, they know exactly what they're getting. When they're going out and promoting giving to the United Way, they know exactly what they're getting. They know that we all work really well together and line up really well together, which is, again, why I think that education, income, and health is a really good alignment, because we all, as a community, work really well together. So, I think I had one other thing I was going to say. I would say that the other thing that I really wanted to say, to sort of piggyback off of what Sarah said, was when we're talking about our brand, and I'm talking about my different customer bases, our brand means different things to different people. So for the youth that have used us or who have utilized our services, it means something really different to them than it does to our funder, than it does to our referral source, than it does to my board or to my staff. But one of the things that we've noticed with the young people that we serve is that a lot of them, because they're disconnected young people, are looking for a home, right? So my son graduated from Lincoln Southeast High School. Go Knights, right? If you say, Lincoln High, you'll hear people in the room go Lynx, right? But for those young people who are disconnected, they don't have a go whatever. They don't feel like they're a part of something specific. And so a long time ago, we just, we had some, marketing funds and bought some t-shirts. And so we were kind of handing them out to kids. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants a t-shirt because they want to be a part of a hub. And that's their place, right? So, it means something different to them. We don't have our funders asking us for t-shirts. We don't have our referral sources asking us for t-shirts. But every kid who comes to our building is like, can I get a t-shirt when I leave? And we're like, oh, yes, you can. Because that's their place. And so I think we've been able to establish that brand piece with that. And we've actually been able to introduce quite a few of our young people to the United Way. A couple of years ago, a couple of our United Way, or our youth, actually went out and did a lot of United Way speaking engagements with us. And they were actually honored with the United Way Speaker of the Year. And so I think that was a really cool opportunity for some of those young people to plug into something bigger than themselves, So they had found some success in the work that they were doing with us, and felt like they were on a different path in their lives. And so they really enjoyed the opportunity to go and give back. And they knew that they couldn't write a check, but they did have the ability to give a little bit of their time, and that was what they did. And I think it was really successful. It was good for the youth, and I think it was really good for United Way, and for all of the givers to see how their funds were impacting those young people. So I don't know, that was kind of all over the place, but I definitely have appreciated the opportunities that I've had with United Way, and I think that going forward, I think that they have a really good direction, and I think that you're going to see a lot of really good things coming out of what's going on at United Way. So I know Sarah left time for questions. Anybody has any?
I have one quick one for
Yeah,
Sarah.
yeah.
How do you educate your donors as far as, so you don't have a big budget, what kind of guerrilla marketing are you doing?
Yeah, we are very fortunate that we do have some very strong partnerships with some media in the community. So we do partner with the Journal Star every year to do a series of advertisements. We partner with KFOR. They do run some PSAs for us, and then we are trying to grow our social media as well. So I think when I started, I've been there for 2 years, we had about 200 to 300 on Facebook, and it's now well over 1,000. So we are growing, but that's definitely part of the branding strategy for this new focus. Will be how can we implement something on social media that speaks to that user, that can identify with our brand through that.
A lot of the education happens in the workplace.
Yes, in terms of education, yes, absolutely. Anything else? Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you guys.